was a street artist, this like elusive street artist. Nobody knew it was me. I left uni, sort of did this big reveal after the council paid me to make a tourist attraction in the area, and at the end of the tourist attraction, or the opening of it, sorry, I sort of revealed my identity and wanted to go full-time street artist. They had just won this big award, this drum award for, I think it was like Europe's best marketing agency in their like first or second year. So you could describe them as a big fish. I brought an inflatable fish, like a 5-foot inflatable goldfish, and it was remote controlled. So I bribed the building manager, Alan, 4 beers to let me in, and then I flew this fish into the office. First year I learned so much, but I went in there thinking about learning about business, and I just learned so much more. The main thing I learned in the second year or third year, whatever it was just about patience. I'm a very impatient person, and long term that was a problem that, looking back, I see now, where I was just like impatiently wanting the success and to like jump ahead of, you've got to do all the work before you get the results. Virtual reality is essentially the headsets that you see. It's transporting you to somewhere else. So taking you out of your office now and putting you in somewhere else. And then augmented reality is applying, and that's the one that I prefer because I think it's got more potential, is applying a digital layer over the real world. Augmented reality is limitless to whatever you can consider. I think it's 63% of people, online shoppers, would find AR improves their shopping experience. Do you think that brands are, just from my own personal experience, very, very keen to work on that? I represent Puma, Gymshark, Boohoo, some college teams from America, college American football teams, potentially Nike. I mean, these are like huge brands. Krypton Conan, that was probably one of the biggest ones that I did. Big Nasty, as you said, he's had about 3 jackets. Charlie Sloth, Gigs, The Game, he's the biggest rapper, definitely in the US. Stormzy, Skepta. I mean, just like AJ Tracy, even Alex from Glastonbury, I did a jacket for.
Hello and welcome to this week's podcast. This week I'm joined by Doddz. We talk about his story from being an anonymous street artist up until what he does today, being an augmented reality artist. So he doesn't just do augmented reality, he describes himself as an all-round creative, so he does a lot of commissions and a lot of fashion commissions as well. He's got a great portfolio of things that he's done in the past, so he's a really interesting guy, shares some interesting stories about his career and his life. So hopefully you enjoy it. So if you haven't already, then don't forget to press the subscribe button below and enjoy.
So the first time that I came across you was a few years ago now, so it's probably around 5 years ago, where you were the videographer for Steve Bartlett when you were doing a daily vlog for him, the CEO of Social Chain at the time. And over the past few years, I've really admired your work on Instagram. So I've seen the commissions that you've done, the cool jackets, but more recently across Instagram and TikTok, I've been following your AR filters. So you've been doing a lot of Instagram filters and stuff like that. So I was really interested, and I'm sure the listeners will be really interested to find out a little bit more about you. So I know you started off as a graphic designer. So to go from a graphic designer to running a daily vlog for a CEO to now doing your own thing, tell me a little bit about the story of Doddz right from the very beginning.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, and hello to everybody that's listening. As you said, sort of jumped around a little bit from sort of creative job to creative job, but I had where to even begin. I did graphic design at uni, and about maybe like 3 months in, realized that graphic design wasn't for me. I liked being creative, but I liked being able to control the message and put out what I wanted to do. And, like clients and amends and all, and I'm sure like you don't get that. So I was in this course for 3 years, but found out pretty instantly that I didn't like it. So I did the opposite of that, and for those 3 years I was at uni, I was a street artist, this like elusive street artist. Nobody knew it was me, but I was in Stoke-on-Trent, which is where I went to uni, and doing this work, and it was all showcasing all like the amazing things in Stoke-on-Trent, which there are many things, if anybody's listening and wondering what good things are in Stoke-on-Trent. And that became like massive. It was like the biggest thing in Stoke-on-Trent. I got reminded the other day that I was invited to turn on the Christmas lights. You know, it was that level of big. But I left uni, sort of did this big reveal after the council paid me to make a tourist attraction in the area, and at the end of the tourist attraction, or the opening of it, sorry, I sort of revealed my identity and wanted to go full-time street artist. Now that I'd left uni and moved to Manchester, and basically what I was just talking to you about before we started recording, just like didn't know how to creatives aren't necessarily business. You know, a struggling artist is a struggling artist because they don't know the business side of things. So did all the textbooks mistakes, undercharged myself, didn't make any money. So I had to get a job, but I thought if I could get a job where I could have a business mentor for a couple of years. I was only 21, 22 or something like that at the time. If I could get a business mentor, then I could learn from them how to do the business side of things, and then do it for a couple of years and then leave, and then get to the point where I could be creative and business minded, which would be like a double combo. And that's where Steve and Social Chain came in. I like discovered, in fact, Ash, who was on this podcast before, he put out a Facebook ad for Steve's brand, and I saw one of those ads. So I have to thank Ash for that. But that's how I got introduced to Stephen Bartlett, and then
What's your application for that? If you don't mind me asking, I know that there's been some like creative applications and stuff there.
Yeah.
So like, what made you stand out like to get that job?
So I hadn't done any videography work, but this was at a point in YouTube's history before everybody was vlogging that I thought daily vlogs would be. He'd started weekly vlogging, and I thought if he did it daily, he'll get ahead of that curve and be, prove really popular, which he did do. So I thought even better if this trend's correct and I'm predicting it right, if I can be the videographer who's filming him all the time, then I can be the person sat next to him, like literally all day, every day, and just absorb as much as I can from him. So not having any videography skills, I was like trying to think about how I could apply. And I know that they, like you said, the applications have to be like really creative. So they had just won this big award, this drum award for, I think it was like Europe's best marketing agency in their like first or second year. So you could describe them as a big fish. So that's what I did. And I brought an inflatable fish, like a 5-foot inflatable goldfish, and it was remote controlled. So I bribed the building manager, Alan, 4 beers to let me in, and then I flew this fish into the office with a memory stick attached to it, and on that memory stick was basically me explaining what I just said about daily vlogging, and sort of in a video, which I'm sure if I looked at it now it'd be really cringy because it'd be very poorly edited, but at the time I thought this is the best I could possibly edit anything, and that got me the job.
Well, that's pretty interesting. If you can find that video, then send it across and we'll edit in there.
I've definitely got a screenshot of Steve getting the fish. I don't think I must have deleted that video pretty quickly after, because it was not that it was bad, but I just looking back at it now, it's probably not the best editing job that I could do.
So from there to now, like what happened? So you've been at you were at Social Chain for, was it 5-6 years?
It was 4 years. So that time I was, as I said, filming Steve every day and putting out a YouTube video every day, which was it was a lot of work, but it was just some of the most.
What were some of the challenges in that? So like, I know there's like constant like rendering, editing, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So like, if you were traveling around the country doing a vlog, like in London or like in Manchester, like what were some of the daily challenges that you found? Because I imagine that you were editing on trains or planes a lot.
Yeah.
So like,
I
what
just
were
I
the biggest
just
challenges?
loved it. I just absolutely loved it. It was every day was a challenge. Like you and like most people have just like 100 things to do every single day. I had two things to do, either film or edit, and that was it. And it was just like you wake up, nothing else matters. It was like because you just can't spend any time doing anything else because you've got to do this. And it wasn't just traveling the country, it was like all over the world. And I, like I said, been from Stoke-on-Trent, like not really traveled extensively, to then traveling just ridiculous amounts globally. Lots of time in New York. It was just like unbelievable. But then you had to work for it. But the skill of the daily vlog was it was, what's the best way to describe it? Almost like a skilled art or something like that, or like a dance. It was like, just, you've got to be filming, and then when I'm filming, I know I can be rendering, or if I always have like a cutoff time, like I need to be editing by this point, otherwise I'll never make it by tomorrow, and try and get like ahead. But it was a lot of fun. But once I sort of got that formula together of figuring out, well, as best as you can, because Steve's life was very like different every single day, but trying to like get a video out every day was equally as challenging. But I just, for all the hard work, it was just brilliant.
What were some of the biggest, well, I guess like, small things that make Steve different on a day-to-day basis, obviously, because you were basically living with him everywhere that he was traveling. So like, what were some
Yeah.
of the small things that you picked up on
From him to just make him the businessman that he is.
that's helped you in your business and
He's
progress in your career?
he's just been able to teach me so much that you wouldn't even realize. I mean, from the when I think about the times that the years that I filmed Steve, I think in that first year I learned so much. But I went in there thinking about learning about business, and I just learned so much more. Like, I walk differently, talk different, like I articulate better than I did back then. I'm certainly more confident than I was. Like, even going to like the gym, he got me into going to the gym, and I was never like a gym person before that. My posture is not good, but certainly better than it was, all because of these things that, like, not that well, maybe he would pick out like walking better or talking better, but he just, like, I don't know, he just builds you up with confidence, which is great. And then in that second year, I learned a lot more about the business side of things, because obviously I can't do too much art whilst all this is going on, because like I said, it's either filming or editing. But the main thing I learned in the second year or third year, whatever it was just about patience. I'm a very impatient person, and day to day that's good because I get like stuff done quickly, but long term that was a problem that, looking back, I see now, where I was just like impatiently wanting the success and to like jump ahead of, you've got to do all the work before you get the results. So the patience was a really good lesson that he taught me, because like I might do, say, like a style of art for a bit and then drop it, and to have the patience to just like keep going was eventually what got me to sort of now doing my own thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I imagine you do need a lot of patience in art. Like, I mean, it's completely different, but like I needed a lot of patience at school to do art. Like, I didn't have any patience for it at all. Like, just for me,
Yeah,
like,
it's not easy.
yeah, it is like for me that was really difficult. But whilst you're at social saying you were going through like you doing a lot of art yourself, weren't you? So like in your spare time doing was it like canvas drawings and things like that, or was it digital?
A little bit of both. So I think I filmed Steve for about 3 years, and
Mm-hmm.
then in this last year, maybe 2 and a bit year, whatever. In this last period, in in the last year or so, 18 months or so, I moved over to working on Katie Leeson's personal brand, because that meant I was dropping down my days. So I went down to part-time, and then that allowed me, obviously you couldn't do that with the filming. So that allowed me to then work on my own stuff again and start building up a bit of a brand or portfolio or whatever you want to call it, to then be able to go on and carry on what I actually started before Social Chain, but obviously a lot better. So during the last sort of 18 months, again, trying to figure out which art style, if it's not going to be the street art that I originally was doing before, like what is it that I can do, and started doing canvases, just general commissions, making money, and then started moving into denim jackets, which I did and still do for quite a long time.
So like you started denim jackets, but then you moved into AR denim jackets as well, didn't you? So like, just before we go into AR and things like that, so could you explain to the listeners like the difference between AR, VR, that kind of thing? Because I'm sure everyone's heard of the things, but not necessarily in detail or in depth. So first, what's AR, and then what's VR, and how do they compare?
So I'm not gonna try and claim to be a complete expert. I don't come from a tech background. Before launching into augmented reality, I don't come from a tech background. I obviously come from an art background, and I'm applying augmented reality and virtual reality to my work. But the difference between, so that's good news, because that means I can't like hit you with like technical mumbo jumbo, because I don't know either. But virtual reality is essentially the headsets that you see. It's transporting you to somewhere else. So taking you out of your office now and putting you in somewhere else. That's virtual reality. And then augmented reality is applying, and that's the one that I prefer, because I think it's got more potential, is applying a digital layer over the real world. So that's putting a 3D model of a dog in your office, and it's interacting. It understands the environment. It understands what table is, so you can put it on the table, and it's like interacting with the real world. And that's sort of the difference. One takes you away from where you are, and one adds to where you are.
So for you, like when you come up with concepts, I've seen a lot of your concepts on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. So for you, what's your creative process behind it? So do you spend a lot of time researching them, or do you kind of see something and then kind of go for it, or what's your process behind it?
Some ideas some ideas sort of formulate quickly, and some ideas sort of take longer. So I'm sure we'll talk about some examples going forward, but there was a Kobe jacket that I did that idea just took a lot longer to come to life, just because I'm trying to think about all the different possibilities, because that's the amazing thing with augmented reality, is it's limitless to whatever you can consider. Like it can be, I have these like ideas. When I think of an idea, I have like a 1 to 10 scale. Like a 1 is like a very obvious thing, so like a dog, for example. But then like a 10 idea is like completely just flipping out there, you know what I mean? Like a unbelievable idea. And you can just have 10s all the time with augmented reality and virtual reality, because you can literally build anything. So it's just limited to your imagination. So my creative process is just thinking, what would just blow people away? To talk about that Kobe jacket would be, what if there was this jacket, and when you scanned it with your phone on Instagram as well, you don't have to download another app, there was a hidden basketball court inside the jacket, and that court had Kobe on shooting hoops. Like that is gonna stop people from what they're doing. Look up and look at that. So I always try to think of just, what's the maddest shit? Can I swear?
Oh yeah, go on.
What I just say, like, what's the maddest thing that you could come up with? Like, what would be what's something that no one's ever seen before, and try and just work from there backwards.
Something on the, like, as close as 10 as possible. So like the closest to 10 as possible.
So the idea to go into the 1 to 10 idea thing that I use, a 10 is like an idea that's like actually impossible, and then you actually want it. So like I always say, if it's like a marketing thing, like putting your product on the moon, like not feasible. But then trying to come up with like an idea that's like a 7 on the scale, which is like still crazy, but actually physically possible. And that's like where the good ideas are, rather than like a 1, which would be like a poster. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so like, I guess this is a little bit technical, but what's the kind of the physical steps that you go to create a filter? So, like an Instagram filter, for example. So, is it a mix of like 3D design software? So, like, what's the kind of software that you use and things like that to build something?
So, I mean, obviously different different pieces of software for different elements, but I always work with Spark AR. That's Facebook's free software that allows you to create filters for their pages. I used to use a different app, but just getting people to go on the App Store, download an app, and figure out how to use it was just like impossible, especially if, like working with a lot of celebrities. You're just not going to get them, confuse them, and they're not got the time. So with Instagram, the benefit is that software, Spark AR, is actually very, if you come from a sort of creative background, it's pretty not self-explanatory, but you can get used to it quite quickly. And obviously the main benefit is that everybody's already on Instagram. Everybody's already got audiences on Instagram, so you're not trying to sell them into something new, like new as in something separate. You're selling them in on what they've already spent years working on. So I use Spark AR a lot. There's a piece of software called Blender, which is where you can sort of manipulate and create 3D models, and also use the whole Creative Cloud suite from Adobe on a number of different things. But the process in creating one is, well, I mean, it depends on what the filter is and what it does, but generally it's getting your 3D models of whatever it is that you want. I don't know how to do that, so I'm not a 3D designer. That takes sort of years of practice to learn. So I use like 3D model freelancers, and then once I've got those assets, then combining the lighting, the sound, the actual just general user experience, there's lots of tiny little details that kind of go into it that make the complete package.
Of course, I've seen so many like different examples of AR being used. So like, obviously on Instagram, brands use it. Like on Google use it for like the knowledge graph. So like when someone types in an animal, for example, like a lion, there's like a life-size lion in your room, that kind of thing. So it's kind of fun and interesting. But like, what are some of the best and like the funnest projects that you've worked on, or like what you're working on at the moment?
The best projects, so some of the more fun ones I'm doing as I'm sort of getting more experience in using or as I'm getting more experience in creating augmented reality experiences. The fun ones for me are where I'm coming up with an idea that I know is possible because I've seen something similar been done, but I don't know how to do it personally. So that sort of journey of like figuring out how is that possible. So you probably can see this painting here behind me. This was one of the first 3D models, or one of the first filters that I did that had an animated 3D model in. And I mean, it just took ages, and there was just so many like tiny little things. What happens with this experience is you scan it with your phone, and the rapper XXXTentacion, he comes out of the painting and performs like a personal concert. But that was like the first time I did anything with lighting, sound, maybe not sound, but definitely 3D models. And just like at the time, it probably wasn't very fun because there was just a frustration of just like this, it was like getting the microphone to stay in his hand. Sounds like super simple, and you just know that there's just like a one button that you press that figures that out. But it took me like, I think I exported 25 plus different versions of it, and it just kept failing. But then looking back on that was probably like the most fun project that I worked on. But just to talk on what you said about like the other examples, and Google like putting lions or whatever it was into the into your space. Like, they are really fun, but the reason that I think augmented reality is such an interesting avenue is because at the moment the situation is that because of the internet speeds and the tech involved and like the capabilities, it's gimmicky. It's like the best you can do is maybe 15 seconds of something quite cool. But as the tech gets better, I know Facebook are working on like Facebook glasses, where you'll be able to wear a pair of glasses and apply the same thing you see with the phone, adding a digital layer over the world to your glasses, that will really change like the way augmented reality is used and people's behavior to it. So it'll be less gimmicky. It'll be more like a part of life. You know, you won't really need this. If you think this like phone that I've got in my hand is this black rectangle that we just attached to, it's like when you think about it, it's really weird. Having it on your glasses and being able to do the same thing, maps, music, you know, being able to add, I don't know where my keys are, you know, then my keys will just appear because my glasses have scanned the room. Like, there's so many cool things you'll be able to do. And for brands, I think, imagine you could have a pair of glasses and, I want these pair of boots here that I've got on the floor, and the glasses can scan them. It can find all the prices from all the different places, and I can shop straight from within my glasses. Like, the capabilities will be, again, just like whatever you can think of, you'll be able to apply, because it's this sort of like new tech. So that's why I think it's got like really good potential, because I mean, that's just like the tip of the iceberg. You can have, like, we could be having this call right now, but you could be sat in my room right here on this chair, because I could be just seeing you on the glasses, and there's be much more personal experience we could be sharing. I mean, there's like, I'm not just going to go through and list all the possibilities, but like there's just loads.
So talk to me, like, in terms of like brands, like what are some good examples of brands that are using AR at the moment? I know probably around Christmas time, like, was it Coca-Cola that did something, or it might have been another brand, but like, is there any examples off the top of your head you can think of where they're using it like on a regular basis or around the year that it's really effective?
Maybe not one that I know that's using it throughout the year, but I do think that brands are, just from my own personal experience, very, very keen to work on that. I'm working with, like, I've got a list actually just up here. Coachella, they're creating some t-shirts that will probably be out by the time this comes out, where you scan the t-shirt, something happens. Mm-hmm. Represent, Puma, Gymshark, Boohoo. There's some college teams from America, American football teams, potentially Nike. I mean, these are like huge brands, and I really feel like they're just starting to use it because they didn't know what was really possible in terms of the connecting the brand to the filter. So some of the filters that I've created, like, I created not for Louis Vuitton, but it was just a concept to kind of show brands like, you can do this kind of thing, to create a virtual store within an Instagram, allowing the user, this is more virtual reality, but you can walk around the store with your phone, and just like any other store, like, looks brilliant. And then the products that are in that store that are on sale, you can link your Instagram shopping to, so you can have product tags connected to it as well. So shops, you know, people can then shop straight out of Instagram and buy what they see in the virtual world. And like, brands don't know that that's possible until like filters like this are made. But I think for marketing, there's sort of two aspects. You could do something like that, where you sell directly through your filter to connecting a virtual product to a physical product, or creating something where you create a filter that's more about the user experience, not selling anything, but it just has a logo on it, or it's brought to you by, that kind of thing. Because these filters are built to go viral. You know, if you have 500 followers and you post about it on your story to 500 followers, with like one click at the top of the Instagram story, there's a link to the filter. So with one click, all 500 of those people have the ability to post about it with one click, and then post about it, if they like it, to all their 500 followers. So within like two stages there, for no ad spend whatsoever, you've reached 250,000 people on Instagram. And all it, you know, maybe it's got your logo above it, and it's just like more like brand awareness rather than and you can imagine people have more than 500 followers, you know, millions of followers. If they start using your filters, you can reach a really big audience.
Yeah, and it's not only that, like not only on Instagram, but like I suppose like offline marketing. So if you had like a sign on a bus stop or something like that, and there was augmented reality on that, and then you got like an Instagram filter on that, and then if people are taking pictures of that, there's not only the footfall, but if people are taking pictures of that, you know, that can help it go viral as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so just to add a third one in terms of like how a brand can interact with it, they can you can interact, your filter can interact with the real world, as I said. So every product that you have can become a scannable object. So working with Puma at the moment to do some unboxing experiences for their like pro players. So they scan the top of their box and the boot comes, 3D model of the boot comes rotating out. So the unboxing experience has now become UGC, user generated content. Everybody who gets a whatever clothing brand package is now going to be posting about it, telling all their friends about it. And then things like the t-shirts and other products you can interact AR with as well. So like if they scanned your top now with freak, maybe it changed from the word freak to Nike, then back to freak, you could just do all this creative stuff. So like the potential there within like the fashion industry, or I mean anything, but particularly the fashion industry, is like t-shirts don't have to be 2D anymore. This t-shirt you can scan, and this skull smokes the cigarette, and the smoke comes out, and the cigarette goes back in. It's like just like, do you know what I mean? I said I wasn't going to list all the potential stuff you could do, but I mean, there's just so much. I think it's exciting.
No, it's incredible. Like, and I just don't really think about it from that point of view, just because it's so new, and like it's difficult to say. But where do you think it would be in like 5 or 10 years time? Do you think? I know it's like a bit of a futuristic question, but do you think it can be done like without glasses in the future? So like maybe like microchips or something.
Yeah, I mean, I know Elon Musk's already working on the microchip.
Yeah.
He's already got one in a pig. So I mean, apart from that, I've got no knowledge in it. But I mean, that seems pretty good evidence that something like that could happen. And I'd be the first one there, trying to get one installed into my head. But in terms of 5 to 10 years, like I said, Facebook are working on glasses. I think that'll be a really big thing when that finally launches, just to try and get the obviously there's companies that already do augmented reality glasses, but just getting the sort of mainstream adoption won't be until you have somebody like Facebook involved. Obviously they've got Oculus, which is their virtual reality headsets, and that's certainly bringing that more into the mainstream. But still, for me, I wouldn't personally buy a virtual reality headset just yet.
Yeah.
But in 5 to 10 years, the tech will be better. I think people will be like using it just much more in terms of like content and product selling. I know Kylie Cosmetics, she had I nearly say Kylie Minogue then, but Kylie Jenner, she had a filter where you could try her lipstick on before buying it. These sort of AR experiences, they're in terms of shopping and shopping behavior. I know, I'm going to try and remember the statistic. I know it's I think it's 63% of people, online shoppers, would find AR improves their shopping experience. And then 49% of online shoppers would be willing to pay more for a product if they could try it on in AR first. So people want that. They want to be able to put their chair in the living room to see if it matches the colors before they order it, and try on the lipstick, or they change the color of their hair to see what dye suits them best. This sort of adoption of like trying on and just integrating it within shopping, I think will be the first thing. And then I think you'll have, like I said, the fashion industry having clothing that does stuff, moves, without the need of it being hopefully held up with a phone, if it's just on the glasses or whatever. I think would be just really interesting to see. But I can only see it's only going one way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are just going to use it as the tech gets better.
Yeah, I mean, recently, like I think it was a few weeks ago that I saw it on Amazon. So Amazon has started to do it on, I didn't see clothes, but I definitely saw furniture. So like sofas, that's like invaluable when you've got, you know, a new house or something, and you know, you're trying to fit in furniture and stuff. So yeah, I mean, like that's, you know, essential, isn't it? So we're just talking about glasses. A while ago now, like there was Snapchat glasses and Google glasses that came out. So what went so wrong for them, and like why do you think like it's just been a bad experience, hasn't it? You know, for Snap
Yeah.
glasses and Google glasses. And Google glasses, that must have come out a long time ago, but Snapchat glasses, that must have come out in the past like 5-6 years or so.
Yeah, I think that the Google glasses, what did they do? I mean,
That
they were so
was,
long ago, weren't they?
yeah, that
I'm not.
long time ago. I think
I think perhaps they were like a bit before their time. Like the tech wasn't quite there yet. They were quite bulky, but they never did. They even go out on sale? I don't think they did they?
to be fair, it might have been a concept, but I think it was for like directions and stuff like that. So like if you wanted to you know, visually see something on the road, I think it was for that. But I'm not too sure what was Snap glasses and like that.
So Snap glasses, they allowed you to take video and post it on your, like it was a way of capturing content, and I think they were just gimmicky. I can't actually remember what they did, but I know
wasn't anything to do with AR.
No, I know my feelings towards them were gimmicky. You couldn't like see through the lenses and see anything. They just had cameras on the side. But I'm pretty sure that they IPO'd around the same time as they bought the glasses out, and I think they IPO'd as a glasses company rather than a social media company, because it wouldn't have IPO'd as well as a social media company, because they were obviously, you know, they've got big rivals, but they're pretty pioneering in a different space. I might have to fact check that, because I might have just made a lot of that up, but I'm pretty sure that the glasses are gimmicky, and the IPO was somehow connected in why they were so like, we make spectacles, even though they weren't that good. The tech's just like Facebook, the way that in terms of the glasses and why I think Facebook's glasses will perform better is because that's what Facebook do. They're always late to the party, but when they do, like, they just take over. What, like, stories is a great example, you know, talking about Snapchat. That was everyone's behavior, and they, you know, they tried to buy it, but they didn't. And then when they finally did their own stories, it just overtook. And there's countless examples of where Facebook have been late to do something, and then when they've done it, it's always because they are what they are. It's always just outperformed. So, you know, I feel like I'm confident that they'll do better, and the tech is in such a better place now.
Yeah, so like we've spoken a lot about Facebook and Instagram filters. So like, why do you think? I mean, are you working on anything to do with Snapchat in terms of augmented reality, or are they a bit behind, or like?
I've just never been they're actually further ahead. You can do more in a Snapchat Studio than you can in Spark AR. But in terms of, they're not throwing shade at Snapchat in any way, but the way that I came into augmented reality was talking to celebrities over Instagram DMs and doing them wanting jackets from me, and then for me to just send them the link that opens up in the filter there and then, and it's just as simple as that. You know, I don't know if they use Snapchat or not, just really just simplified it. And then I mean, people do work with Snapchat, but it's just brands, influencers, you know, it's all Instagram is, you know, the home for that. So I just play in that playground, to be honest with you. But like I said, Snapchat actually is further ahead. You can do a lot more. I mean, like, this is another great example. It won't be long until Facebook. It sounds like I'm working for Facebook. I'm not, you know, I'm just, these are the facts. When Facebook catches up and allows you to do the stuff that Snapchats will do, you know, people will use that over Snapchat because it's got the audience there, and people know how to, you know, work with filters on, you know, it's just like second nature to understand the metrics of filters on Instagram. They know where they are. They know how to record them. They know what, you know, you press or tilt your head or open your mouth. Something's going to happen. So yeah, it's just like, personally, I just think it's a better environment to be in.
Yeah. To go back to your art, and I've seen some actually. It must have been like a year or so ago now. But what some of the celebrities that you've done work for? I think I saw like, was it Big Nasty? Was that
Yeah,
one?
Big Nasty's probably the biggest advocate of the Doddz custom denim jackets, but a whole host of celebrities are quite fortunate in that regard. Really, it seems to be the generally people that I also like working with, like admire. Like I listen to like hip hop or grime or music like that. So it's those sort of musicians. So for anybody who's like, not familiar with those, then this might be, less impressive list for you. But Krypton Conan, that was probably one of the biggest ones that I did. He wore his jacket throughout his latest tour before lockdown, so that was pretty cool to see. Big Nasty, as you said, he's had about 3 jackets. Charlie Sloth, Gigs, he wore his full Adidas custom tracksuit. That was a collab with Adidas. And again, a really good filter to make. It had this like Jedi on the back, and the Jedi came to life, and like I think he swiped speakers and the speakers blew up or something. That was really fun. The Game, he's the biggest rapper definitely in the US. There was one other one that I was going to mention. Stormzy, Skepta. I mean, just like AJ Tracy, even Alex from Glastonbury. I did a jacket for, when he was, Alex from Gloucester.
Yeah.
Like pretty much everybody you can think of. So yeah, I've been pretty fortunate in that regard.
Yeah, like for me, like from like a non-physical art background, so like it might be sound a stupid question to you, but like how are things printed onto the jacket? Is that just from you hand drawing it, or is it like printed, or how does it work? And what kind of ink is it?
Yes.
Does it need to be some sort of special ink for it to be picked up by the filters?
Yeah. So the reason that it's denim is because the texture of denim works best with the fabric paints that I use, a special kind of paint that you heat seal in. So I would paint on with hand, or by hand, I should say, and then heat seal it in, and that's the way that it would work. But that what I've just described there is basically every custom denim jacket you can think of. They all look the same. And when I started, as I said, I used to be a street artist, and I've been through like I don't know what the best metaphor for this is, but like an avenue of lots of different creative outlets. Obviously, videography, photography. But I even tried like poetry and pottery and sculpting and just like loads of stuff, just oil painting, everything. And then the denim jackets I enjoyed because I enjoy creating stuff that like clothing wise that nobody else would have, and I just enjoy that fashion side of thing. And then got a little bit of success with doing a couple of jackets for like Bugsy Malone and a few other grime artists. But it wasn't until I got hit with like a Instagram ad with like this augmented reality app that I was like, that's something that I need my jackets to do.
Is it like a light bulb moment where you were kind of just
Yeah, literally,
like,
I was lying in bed and
it
I
was
was
like
like,
fate? It was like the
I saw
same way
this
you got
ad.
to Social Chain, wasn't it? Because you just saw an ad for that job. So
Through ads, yeah.
you need like
Yeah.
what's the
So
next one?
I used that app for like a while, but it was just like not as good. And that really took off the sort of the jackets, as I mentioned, like doing some amazing work because it was doing the stuff that nobody had ever seen. But you couldn't do that on Facebook and Instagram when I first started, which is why I think I got the jump up when you could do it on Facebook and Instagram when they did allow other people to make filters, because I was like ahead in terms of skill and practice and knowledge. And then just having that ability to the simplicity of Instagram just like really unlocked something. And then there was like another really big jump in terms of exposure and work.
Yeah, so like you just touched on it then, like about the experience and the knowledge. So are you completely self-taught? Like, did you learn everything through like trial and error or YouTube, or how did you learn?
Yeah, pretty much trial and error, and like the occasional YouTube video. But why? I think that's good for 2 reasons. Because A, it shows anybody like augmented reality is this like daunting piece of tech, but like it's not. I've just like proven that with what I've just told you. And then the second thing is I can validate that because Facebook have put me in their partner network this year, which is their top 77 creators globally.
Congrats.
So that's like 18 months of, it's not, I don't mean that in like a biggish way, but I'm just saying that like you can literally be one of the top creators globally from the YouTube videos and just generally trialing and error. Like it's not as daunting as you know, if somebody who's listening today might just be coming across it for the first time. It's much easier than it seems, and that's actually putting me down and saying, you know, it's not complicated. Anybody can do it.
What would you say to someone that like saw it or always listen to this podcast and that they want to get into it? Like, what would you say when you're starting out? Like, do you have to have a lot of patience, or like, is there anything in particular or any good resources to follow? Your TikTok and YouTube.
Yeah. So I would download Spark AR. They've got loads of templates in there as well. So you could just learn, you know, just like have a look around, and then I would just watch. There's the YouTube tutorial section, you know, the section of YouTube reserved for Spark AR tutorials is not big because it is still new. But there's some out there. There's some of them that are in like different languages, and you might just have to kind of like get the gist. But I'm going to start making tutorials because obviously I think there's a space. I think there's a space for it. So yeah, I just get on YouTube and just try and absorb as much as you can, and then just try making stuff. That's the quickest way, because you'll learn really quickly how to do X, Y, and Z if you just like keep not being able to do it. You know, sooner or later you'll be able to do it.
Yeah, to go over to another platform. So there's something that's been looking at me the whole podcast, and that's the Twitch canvas behind you. So I know you did a big charity piece that was on a live stream on Twitch. So like,
Yeah.
what was the idea behind that, and how did it all come about?
That came through Social Chain. As I there's two how can I describe this? That was a project that came through Social Chain as I obviously working part-time there and part-time on my own stuff. I was sort of getting booked as talent to work on a few of their projects, and Twitch was one of them, where they did something called Twitch Aid, which is, I guess, a bit like Live Aid for huge musicians, you know, just like the biggest, performing a concert throughout the day, raising money for COVID. This was right at the beginning of the lockdown, and that was sort of my first experience with Twitch. Since then, I've become their artist in residence. So these canvases specifically behind you are from those where they'll be doing a competition, and I'll be painting whatever game it is, whatever the event is, and then these get sent to the winners. That Twitch Aid, the original one, was a big digital canvas of everybody, all the celebrities, like lying and playing games, you know, video games on a really long sofa. Imagine like that opening scene from Friends where they're all sort of on the sofa together. It's literally just behind the camera here. It's just like 30 celebrities all together. But that was really exciting. And in terms of like being thrown in the deep end, there was obviously not done Twitch before, and I was just like going through streaming, talking about what I was. And during that was a 24-hour stream. So I was just literally going all day drawing, which is just like obviously wild. And then when Twitch rivals the main channel, they came to me, it was like you'd go from, I think I got like a message where it was like, you are now live to 120,000 people. Wow. And it's just like just me in here, like we are talking now, but 120,000 people also watching.
Were you in the room by yourself? So were you literally just there and the camera?
It was just this. It was this pretty much exact same setup, apart from I had a pad where I was drawing, and there was. But imagine 120,000 people, you know, sat looking at your screen like as you're talking through what you've done, and then it also went, because one of the people that I drew, it had gone viral in the Twitter K-pop community, which was just even wilder as somebody who doesn't know anything about K-pop. So it was just like a really, obviously a long day, but just and also that print raised like $50,000 for the COVID charity, you know, total that they were going for. So I mean, it was just like a wild day.
Wow. I remember you did an Instagram story, and like it was showing the analytics of it, and it was basically, it was flat for like hours and hours and
Yeah,
hours, and then it literally just went wow. Like
that was the K-pop Twitter community coming in strong. But yeah, that was just like, and that was our like 19 in. So I'm like, I've just been drawing all day, and I'm like, whoa, like delirious almost, and I'm like, I can't think about even what to say because I'm trying to get this drawing done on time, and it was just like, well, I don't know.
So that was done.
All good though. It's all good fun.
That was done. So what time did you start and like what time did you end? Was it like 9
That was
until 9, or
I think I would have started at
blend into
about
one?
6, and then 6. Yeah, I know that I finished at 5 a.m. because it was 5 a.m. and you tend to remember those sort of things. I also had like this. I closed out the whole Twitch Rivals Twitch thing with this big golden confetti cannon. So like 5 a.m. this was like room was like filled with golden confetti. So I guess I must have started at like 6, 7 a.m. But yeah, that was that big spike was the K-pop Twitter community coming in.
That's crazy. It just shows that like patience pays off in the end, doesn't it? Like 19 hours in out of 24 is like crazy. So like for you, like what's next? I know you moving full time into doing commissions and AR and that kind of thing. So what's next for you? Like what have you got coming up, and what's going on?
Well, I'm just really looking forward to the future, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm sure you can tell by the way that I'm talking. I worry about using the word excited too much, but I'm just optimistic about like what's going to happen and people's adaptation to this tech. There's like this great graph that shows people's rate of adaptation to new tech, and it gets, you know, at the beginning when sort of like 50 years ago, it was very, very slow for people to move over, but now people are just like, new piece of tech, bang, straight away they're just taking it on board. So I think quite quickly augmented reality will become very mainstream. As I said, as the tech gets better, there'll be more opportunities and more. There is quite a lot of limitations at the moment, especially on Instagram, through the fact that the internet's not good enough to get, you know, huge files sent to people all over the world. But as that gets better, the experience will get better, the details will get better. Personally, what I'm working on is created this sort of hub called the virtual art space, and that hub has a few branches. So the virtual art space itself is a virtual art gallery. So that has, I create the gallery with collaborations with like different artists from all over the world, and then they showcase their artwork, and then we sell prints and split the profits. So that's one. And because of the numbers, I mean, I could talk to you for just a whole another hour just talking about that gallery, because the potential behind at the moment in Manchester, where, or even the UK, where, well, globally, where all the galleries are closed down, or some cities don't even have galleries, to have this is technically the only gallery that's safe to visit right now, and everybody's already on Instagram. So the numbers are already quite good. We've done one exhibition so far at 100,000 people. The global average for a two-week gallery is 34,000. So, you know, just as I talked to you earlier about the virality of filters, there's the potential there to be the biggest gallery in the world. So we've got loads of shows already booked in for like way into next year with artists, which is really exciting. So that's the virtual art space. Then you've got the clothing element, as I mentioned, bringing out stuff like not this hoodie design, but hoodies and t-shirts that scan and do stuff. The Kobe jacket is another great example of this kind of thing that I'm looking to do. Just ordered the first samples today, but also working with, in the same way that working with influencers, artists, sorry, for the gallery, working with influencers to, you know, they all have these merch lines and clothing and other clothing brands as well, do collaborations with them to add, hopefully disrupt the fashion industry in that regard, which again, potential there is really exciting. And you know, talking about that Kobe jacket, that's a one-off jacket, but being able to have a hoodie that does something similar that anybody all over the world can access, I think that gets me really excited as well, without using the word excited a lot. And then the final two, branches of the virtual art space. One, the brand work, obviously, just coming out of working at Social Chain, the brand work, and the types of brands that I've just mentioned is just like incredible. Something that I never thought I'd be able to do is work with this level of brand. And then teaching people the Vaza Academy, the Virtual Art Space Academy, which basically an online course that teaches people how easy it actually is to be making these filters. And I think going forward, as more people and more brands request this sort of thing, that course will become like, hopefully, like the Bible for social AR, at least, that teaches people how to create filters that they thought maybe was impossible for them to make, but it's actually some of them are quite straightforward.
So much coming up, that there is so much to be excited about, like, so I understand why you're using it so much, but like, I'm really excited to see what's coming up as well. Like, I'm a real big fan of what you're doing, and it's really good that you're trying to set it up for other people as well, and just keep art galleries open, and try and make an influence on people that want to set things up for themselves in the future. So I think we'll wrap up there. So if anyone wants to like follow you anywhere, like where are the best places to find you?
You can follow Virtual Art Space on pretty much every platform. It's under Virtual Art Space. And then if people are interested in learning how to do augmented reality like this for themselves, in terms of the academy, the webinar, this sort of free 1 hour masterclass that we're going to do. This is sort of like like an MVP, like a minimal viable product, just to see if people actually want this sort of thing. We're doing like a free 1 hour class before we make the full course, and that gives a lot of information about the industry. I mean, we've sort of just touched the surface here really, but the industry, the potential, and then like teaching people how to make different types of filters in that 1 hour class. That will be live, I'm pretty sure, by the time this goes out. So if they want to check that out, then they can maybe just learn for themselves how to make something.
Brilliant. All right, really appreciate your time, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.